Welcome to Midnight Story. Tonight's story is The Town That Forgot Winter. People think winter is just cold. They think it's snow, frozen roads, long nights. But winter is more than that. Winter is a memory keeper. And there was a town that forgot it. Not suddenly, not dramatically. They forgot winter the way people forget how it feels to be held. Slowly, quietly, without realizing anything was missing. The town was called Graybridge. And the year winter didn't come back, no one screamed. No one protested. No one ran outside looking at the sky. They just kept going. Graybridge used to be an ordinary town. The kind of place where people measured time by seasons instead of dates. Where winters were long enough to complain about, but never long enough to fear. Snow came every year. Children waited for it. Adults prepared for it. Old people respected it. Winter told everyone when to slow down. And then one year, it didn't. December arrived wearing a lie. The calendar said winter. The air said spring. Grass stayed green. Rivers stayed awake. Christmas lights reflected off wet streets instead of snow. People laughed about it at first. They said it was lucky. They said it was easier. They said they didn't miss the cold anyway. But something else was missing. Something no one had words for. Evelyn Moore noticed. She had lived through 92 winters. She knew their weight, their silence, their purpose. When she looked at the sky, she didn't smile. She waited, because winter always returned, until it didn't. Without winter, Graybridge changed. Not in loud ways, in small ones. People stopped staying home, stopped talking late into the night, stopped sitting quietly with each other. They didn't argue anymore, but they didn't forgive either. Funerals became shorter. Grief became inconvenient. Tears felt unnecessary. And slowly, people stopped crying at all. Evelyn said winter wasn't meant to make people suffer. It was meant to make them feel. Cold made people honest. Darkness made them listen. Silence made memories louder. Without winter, pain had nowhere to rest. So it stayed inside people instead. January came. Then February. Still no snow. Children who had never seen winter asked why adults looked tired all the time. Adults didn't know how to answer. The town felt busy, but hollow, like a house with all the lights on and no one home. On January 14th, the coldest day winter used to remember itself, Evelyn walked to the river. It was supposed to be frozen. It wasn't. She knelt beside it, dipped her hand into the water, and whispered something no one heard. That night, the temperature dropped. Just 1 degree. No alarms. No warnings. Just enough to be felt. People slept differently that night. They dreamed of things they had forgotten. Faces, voices, moments that hurt and mattered. Some woke up crying, and for the first time in years, they didn't stop themselves. Evelyn passed away before sunrise. Peacefully, quietly. And when morning came, snow fell. Not heavy, not dramatic, just enough. Enough to cover the ground. Enough to soften the noise. Enough to remind the town how to pause. Graybridge remembered winter, and winter remembered them. People stayed inside again, talked longer, cried harder, forgave slower but deeper. They learned something simple. Some seasons don't exist to be enjoyed. They exist to be felt. Winter returned every year after that. And Graybridge never forgot it again. People believe winter is about cold. About frozen fingers, slippery roads, long nights that feel endless. But winter has never really been about temperature. Winter is about remembering. It reminds people how to stop, how to sit with each other, how to sit with themselves. And there was a town that forgot how to do that. They didn't mean to. They didn't choose it. They simply kept moving forward. Until the season that slowed them down stopped coming. The town was called Graybridge. And when winter disappeared, no one realized what they were losing. Not at first. Graybridge was never famous. It didn't appear on postcards or documentaries. It wasn't the kind of town people dreamed about leaving, or returning to. It was ordinary. And because it was ordinary, it was honest. People woke up early. They went to work. They waved at neighbors they barely knew and nodded at strangers they saw every day. Time passed there the way it always had. Until it didn't. Winter used to arrive like an old friend. Predictable. Unwelcome at times. But familiar. Snow fell and covered mistakes. Cold forced people indoors. Darkness made conversations longer. Winter gave people permission to feel tired. Then one year, it hesitated. The snow came late, barely enough to whiten the ground. Barely enough to matter. People noticed but they didn't worry. They said winters were changing everywhere. They said the world was different now. They said it didn't feel like a problem. Spring came early. Summer followed quickly. And when autumn passed without warning, people realized winter was missing. Not gone. Just absent. December arrived without ceremony. No frost on windows. No frozen breath in the air. No quiet mornings where sound felt heavy. The town decorated anyway. Lights hung from houses surrounded by green lawns. Plastic snowmen stood on wet soil. Everything looked right. Everything felt wrong. People laughed about it. They said shoveling snow was overrated. They said heating bills would be cheaper. They said this was progress. But laughter doesn't always mean joy. Sometimes it means distraction. Evelyn Moore didn't laugh. She had lived long enough to know the difference. 92 winters had shaped her life. She remembered storms that trapped people together. Blizzards that turned strangers into neighbors. Cold nights when grief softened because someone else felt it too. When Evelyn looked outside and saw green grass in December, she felt uneasy. Because winter had never failed her before. Without winter, Graybridge began to change. Not suddenly. Not loudly. In ways that felt harmless. Stores stayed open later. People worked longer hours. Houses felt emptier, even when lights were on. No one stayed inside long enough to talk. No one stayed quiet long enough to think. Arguments stopped happening, not because people agreed, because disagreements took too much effort. Apologies disappeared, not because people forgave, because they forgot what needed healing. Funerals became shorter. People stood, listened, nodded, and left. No lingering, no shared silence, no slow walks home in cold air. Grief didn't vanish, it just didn't have anywhere to go. Children grew restless. They had never seen snow. Never learned how cold could make warmth feel precious. They asked their parents why everyone looked tired all the time. Parents didn't have answers. Evelyn said winter wasn't punishment. It was balance. Cold reminded people of warmth. Darkness reminded them of light. Stillness reminded them they were alive. Without winter, life felt uninterrupted. And uninterrupted life, she believed, made people forget themselves. January arrived quietly. The date everyone remembered, January 14th, came and went without notice. That used to be the coldest day. The day winter reminded the town it was serious. This time, the river flowed freely. Too freely. Evelyn walked there alone. Her steps were slow, careful, as if she was afraid to startle something fragile. She knelt beside the river. The water was warmer than it should have been. She placed her hand into it and closed her eyes. She didn't pray. She didn't beg. She remembered. She remembered every winter that had shaped her. Every silence. Every loss. Every moment when cold made her feel less alone. And she whispered a thank you. That night, the temperature dropped. Barely. 1 degree. No one noticed consciously. But bodies did. Sleep changed. Dreams returned. People dreamed of things they hadn't thought about in years. Parents. Homes. Mistakes. Love. They woke up with wet eyes and heavy chests. And for once, they didn't push the feeling away. Evelyn passed away before dawn. No pain. No fear. Just rest. When the town woke, snow was falling. Soft. Light. Almost unsure of itself. But it stayed. Children pressed faces to windows. Adults stood still. No one spoke. Because silence felt right again. Winter didn't return angry. It returned gently. As if reminding Graybridge of something it already knew. People stayed home that day. They talked. They cried. They forgave. Slowly. Awkwardly. Honestly. Graybridge never forgot winter again. And winter never forgot them. Because some seasons don't exist to be enjoyed. They exist to teach people how to feel human. If you are new my channel, please subscribe and press bell icon. Calm down. Take slow breath. Close your eyes. Sweet dreams. Good night.